Okay, so I'm a photographer, and my aim is to show our environment in ways that we usually don't get to see it from far above. And today, I'd like to take you with me. I'm making sprawl an aesthetic experience, but what I really want to do is startle viewers into a reconsideration of how they live. I want them to see entire neighborhoods made of tiny little building blocks that are all identical looking homes, what planners call cluster world. It's a popular form of living in the United States, and until recently, these Nevada settlements seen in these pictures were part of the fastest growing neighborhoods in the nation. They're all located along a 5-mile development stretch at the base of the Black Mountains. As with zip code marketing, developers design communities with buyer profiles in mind. And this giant place is nowhere near a major urban hub, and it covers 4 square miles. What you see is a chaotic road mass, the multiple parallel roads it takes, and connecting ramps merely to join 2 freeways somewhere in the middle of California. And here we are in Texas. In 2006, these homes in the Houston periphery sold for $700,000 and up. Buyers are looking for upward mobility, which brings a sense of community and the physical safety of suburbia, and sameness. Note the sets of identically spaced trees that appear in the same location on each front lawn. And each lot measures exactly the same footage. And the prepared lot there on the lower left, I think was about to be filled, and the home there assembled fairly quickly because it's partially prefabricated, but was still going for $700,000. Okay, not anymore. And this alien-looking place is in coastal Florida, right at the sea. NASA designers might have come up with a blueprint for this one in the 1950s as an extraplanetary settlement concept. And note that all the houses there face each other across these canals, not the ocean. And the center point that these emanating shapes are bent around is a family picnic area, and this thing is giant. This formation is 3.3 miles just in diameter. Okay, let's see. And this place is advertised as a master-planned, intentional community and perfect for active adults. So the pattern seen here is so distinctive. It's used as a location marker by overhead air traffic. And that's true. And it features nearby golf courses and is surrounded by arid terrain in Arizona. So imagine the water supply needed to sustain this kind of living. This development, the entire cluster of it is 4 square miles. But compare the color of this community that's built as active to this one, where the median age is 75. To convey this neighborhood in central Arizona as something self-contained, I photographed closer to the ground, just above the inner circles. But in fact, this place is large enough to disrupt Phoenix's secondary street design. In other words, it's virtually a private town. And 4 more of these rondels, they make up the entire cluster. So some of these places even appear like prisons of our own making. To me, this seems an isolated fort in the Nevada desert. The entire complex has only 2 exits above and on the right. And if there aren't any public places to go to outside, doesn't that lead to an encapsulated life, either indoors by the television or inside a car, going to anywhere else? So, and now some actual prisons. These are Supermax facilities in Arizona. And what's interesting to see is that the shapes of these structures corresponded with those of residential communities, like the one in the middle, located just one state away in California. So now I had to find daredevil pilots for these shots. Most refused. These prison pictures must be made quickly. If ID numbers on a helicopter tail are spotted from the ground, the helicopter license will be looked up and the pilot will be questioned, even though making these photographs is technically legal. And the exact same locations are accessible to anyone via satellite view on Google. And this is how these pictures are made. I'm about 8,000 feet above a women's facility that houses a death row. That's the Perryville State Penitentiary in Arizona. And that red harness makes it possible to leave the cabin to obtain unobstructed shots. To find compelling locations to photograph, I start with a list of statistics that reveal something about trends, foreclosure rates, for example. They were high in Florida and in Arizona last year, so I focused on those states. Foreclosure rates are a good indicator that sprawl planning isn't just environmentally unsustainable, but also fiscally short-sighted. And occasionally, I also tour the sites dressed as a potential home buyer with a realtor to gain insight into the neighborhood's aspirations, how it sees itself, or at least how it's portrayed in sales pitches. And then I supply the bigger perspective not available from the ground on how we currently live and how we might live in the future. I see that as my function as an artist. And I hope that these images spark debate and help to ask, can we aim for better? And this might not just be wishful thinking. We can look at Florida, where some policymakers and activists are indeed aiming for better. Okay, vital wetlands were first drained when this exclusive privatopia was built. And then water was artificially reintroduced for this unusual landscaping. And not far away is this. That's a white zone. It's a nutrient-poor area that's moving very slowly inland towards communities. And the white that you see there is ocean salt and drought resulting from interrupted fresh water flow from the Everglades. And Florida water management has been consistently redirecting and cut off flow of the Everglades for development. But for the first time ever, mainly because of the initiative of Bruce Babbitt, the former Secretary of the Interior, Florida agencies are reversing some land use practices. They're actually buying back land already slated for development and are turning it into development-free zones. And in some sections, even reconnecting the severed arteries of the Everglades ecosystem. And Secretary Babbitt now argues that the United States of the 21st century should start to look more like an archipelago of cities in a sea of open landscapes. And looking down from far above, that makes sense to me. So, okay, now that we've looked at the human experience in these geographies, looking at these repeating shapes in the abstract, all political intent removed, I want to ask if these pictures can't also simply be an examination of organized living, a kind of a geometric sociology, meaning the study of the shapes that our inhabited spaces make. From prehistoric settlements to the fringes of suburbia, why do these forms, the circle, the web, and the star-shaped archetype appear so consistently? And entirely separate from the depicted sprawl conditions, aren't these geometries the expression of something buried deep in human culture and perhaps the unconscious? So, thank you for looking at these pictures with me.